Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome back. If you're new here, I'm Liz, your host here at Untold. Look, deathly tired, but coffee in hand. So today we're going to be doing our true crime recap. This was supposed to go up this evening, but postponed until, when you're seeing it. Anywho, so I have a few things I'm going to talk about, and there's actually some unidentifieds that have been identified that are going to be going up in their own video today. There's quite a few of them, so I want to do those separately as opposed to what I want to talk about in the true crime recap. So, back on the 4th of December, there was 4 family members that were fatally stabbed to death in their home in Far Rockaway, Queens, which is in New York. So the suspect then fled on foot, but was shot by the police. He was fatally shot. This suspect was 38-year-old Courtney Gordon, and he was there to visit his family. Well, the police responded after a girl called 911 stating that her cousin killed her family via stabbing, which is pretty intense for a little girl to say that. Officers responded to the scene and saw him with luggage, and he was trying to carry it to the end of the driveway of the Beach 22nd Street home. This man was approached by the officers, and after a very brief conversation with them, he took out a knife and he just started to attack them. One of the officers was struck in the face or the head, and the other one was hit in the neck. It was then when Gordon tried to flee on foot, and he was shot by one of the officers after he viciously attacked them. So inside the home, this is where they found the remainder of the family. There was a man in his 30s, a 44-year-old woman, an 11-year-old girl, a 12-year-old boy, who were all stabbed to death. There was also a 61-year-old woman who had stab wounds that ended up being in critical care when she was brought to the hospital. So it was around 5 a.m. when the neighbors began to awake to the sound of gunshots and the crime scene that was on their street in their neighborhood. It is said that Gordon placed a couch in front of the door and had purposely set it on fire. Now, I presume he was trying to do this because he wanted the whole house to go up in flames in order for the scene to be completely decimated by the fire, so he could cover his tracks. It is known that he has quite a violent history. And also, I want you to know that there was a neighbor that heard the commotion of what was happening, especially with the younger humans that were in the home. So they heard them being stabbed, which is very sad. So like I mentioned, Gordon had quite a violent history, and he was already arrested previously for domestic violence in the Bronx due to strangling someone. The old woman that was found that was in critical care, and the second officer, well, she's still in critical care, and the second officer that was hit in the face has a deep laceration to the face. This is still being investigated at this time. So this next thing is true crime related, but not at the same time. So the father of Jeffrey Dahmer, his name is Lionel Dahmer, he died after he was in hospice care on Tuesday. He was 87 years old. He died in Medina County. So he really came to light because of what he taught his son. He taught his son a lot of things about science. He was he had a science degree in chemistry from the University of Wisconsin. He was a very brilliant man. He was super smart. He has a Master of Science from Marquette University, and he also has a doctorate in chemistry. He is an extremely smart man, and he really taught Jeffrey a lot of the things that he knew when it came to animals and anatomy and physiology and things like that. And I know that he wrote a book about his son, and a lot of times people get in trouble for talking about Jeffrey Dahmer and his victims due to his victims' families wanting to move on from these heinous crimes. So Lionel wrote a book called The Father's Story, and this came out in 1994, and how he was completely oblivious as to what was happening. He would deny what was happening, and he just didn't imagine that his son could do what he did. And like we know, Jeffrey Dahmer was serving life sentences in Columbia Correctional Institution in Wisconsin, but he did die after being beaten to death on November 28th of 1994. Dahmer was only 34 years old when he was killed. Lionel's ex-wife, which is Joyce, which is Dahmer's mom, she died back in 2000. Lionel did marry again. Her name is Sherry. She passed away earlier this year. And the Dahmer name really stands prevalent still within true crime history, obviously because of what he did. And his father never really came to terms with what his son did. He has nightmares. Or had nightmares. He never thought he could ever break free from the image that his son unfortunately created and kind of put a shroud around their family. So I thought that was something prevalent to talk about because it's somebody that is related to a serial killer that everybody really knows about in this world. Now that he has passed on, he has some clarity about what his son did. Obviously, it's a touchy subject. You never want to come to terms with what your son potentially did to other men. But so on the morning of November 30th, 2021, Ethan Crumbley, who was 15 at the time, walked into Oxford High School with a firearm in his backpack. He had then killed 17-year-old Madison Baldwin, 14-year-old Hannah St. Juliana, 16-year-old Justin Schilling, and 16-year-old Tate Meyer. This was really something nobody was expecting to happen. Obviously, it did come out that he was quite a disturbed human being. It is known that in a notebook that was presented as evidence during his trial or during a hearing, that he had a detailed plan of stalking, raping, and torturing and killing a female classmate, and that he knew that he was going to spend the rest of his life in prison, verbatim saying rotting like a tomato. There is video footage that shows him walking up to the victims and then shooting them right in the hallway, like in the middle of the hallway. This happened in Oxford, Michigan. When this is talked about, it's said that his shooting was torture and that they were executions, which I do agree. This is the first, or is said to be the first criminal case where the defendant was charged with terrorism because of his mass shooting, and he was convicted of it. The victims' families did speak at this hearing on Friday and asked for life without parole for Ethan Crumbley because of what he did. Tate Meyer's father said that there is something missing from his family, which is love. And when you don't have any joy, there's no love to back that. Him and his spouse, they're trying to figure out how to save one another. They're trying to save, their marriage, because obviously families of these people that do die due to uncertain circumstances, well, not really uncertain, but unintended circumstances. This is not something that you would think would intentionally happen. It is something that happens. It's a spiral effect. We don't know when these things will occur, and unfortunately for them, it has affected them so much where, yes, their marriage, their relationship has taken a beating from it. All of their families have taken a beating from it. Madison Baldwin's family, she was suffering. They're all suffering. There sometimes is always good things that come out of bad things, and a lot of the times those good things don't happen for a long time. Like Justin Schilling, his organs were able to save 5 lives after he died, which is amazing, but it's also very sad at the same time. Hannah St. Juliana's sister, Raina, said that there's always an empty seat, and the empty seat in the room is the loudest noise, which is very, if you've never lost somebody, you don't understand that concept, or you've never lost somebody that close to you, you won't understand that concept. It's a very touchy subject. She will never forget curling her sister's hair for her funeral rather than helping her with her hair for her lacrosse game, which is, it's extremely touching and sad. Like, it hurts my heart reading some of the things that I have when it comes to their family. There is also talks that what Ethan Crumbley did, his mom will have stuff used against her. I guess he used to torture birds and things like that. Like, I remember when this happened and his parents kind of fled, and I'm not giving them any way out. Like, they knew there was something wrong with him, and they didn't do anything to help him. I remember when they fled their home, like, he had access to guns. He had one that his parents already, like, had for him. Like, their son was very well aware using a gun, and he put toilet paper in his ears to protect his ears during the shooting, because if you've never shot a gun, it's very loud. Like, his parents refute a lot of the things that they did. But unfortunately, they are also facing involuntary manslaughter charges because they purchased the gun for their son. That's the one that indeed killed these 4 kids. And their cases are separated. Their trials are set to start next month, so January 2024, which that's very bizarre to say. It is a known fact that she indeed, his mom, Jennifer, went on social media talking about the gun that they bought for their son for Christmas. So there is plenty of evidence that they gave him said firearm. They gave him the ammunition to do so. And even if they keep saying that they didn't know what he was planning on doing, they didn't know what was wrong with him, they were unaware. He probably spoke out. Kids with issues mentally will speak out or say things here and there that parents can pick up on. They just have to choose to hear him, and unfortunately, I don't think they chose to hear him. Based on what I read, it does seem that Ethan is getting the help that he needs. He's now 17 years old. But like one thing I read is that he can try his best in the future to help others, and that's what he wants to do, is he wants to help others not do what he did. He also said he did apologize for his actions and said that he was a bad person. He did terrible things. He lied. You can't trust him, and that he did hurt many people, which is very courageous for him to say. Not everybody that is on trial for life for murder will speak things like he is. So it seems that he is getting the mental help that he does need. And he also added that he wanted his peers around him outside of jail to feel safe and secure while he is in jail. So he is taking accountability for his actions, which is something that he needed to do, which is great that he is doing, because not every person that kills people will do that. Like, look at, what is it? The smiley face killer. Keith Jesperson. He still hasn't taken full, like, he won't fully admit to everything he's done. There's Dennis Rader, refuses to talk about what he does or what he did. Let's see. Keith Jesperson is talking to Rex Heuermann, who is the Long Island Strangler, and telling him to not speak until his trial, to not say anything until his trial, to be quiet until his trial, only talk to very certain people, which is why they are talking via letters, which is bizarre. I thought that is extremely interesting, that they allow two serial killers to talk to each other. That's quite interesting. I wonder also if they've ever connected on the phone. I know that was quite the little, like, mind, kind of like word diarrhea, but whatever. That's just kind of how my brain works. So there's one more thing I want to discuss today, and that is the death of Lizbeth Medina. So Lizbeth Medina was found dead in a bathtub in her home, or in her apartment, on Tuesday. Jacqueline Medina, who was her mom, she found her after she hadn't heard from her afternoon. So she came home as normal, and she found her daughter dead in the bathtub. Lizbeth had gone missing right after the town's Christmas parade. But what's ironic is that she actually was honored by their town at a football game and by her fellow cheerleaders. Like, they all wore her favorite color, which was purple. And I haven't found what exactly she was honored for, but it seems that everybody really, like, loved her. Like, she seems to be quite a nice person. I have not found anything negative about this girl. Everything is super positive. She seems like everybody in the community loved her. She was she had just gone missing prior to, or she was due to appear with her cheer squad at the town's Christmas parade. That's what it was, which the town was, like, freaked out about. And the fact that she was found dead in her own home. Her mom said that it kills her every day just remembering seeing the blood. This is a capital murder case. They do have an individual on the loose, and a lot of what they are hiding from the public. And I believe they are doing that like they did with the Delphi murders, where they're trying to keep as much information closed off from public sources. So whomever is responsible for this won't be able to refute any details in court, which is smart. They do have a suspect in mind. This person is taller with dark hair. He's like a taller, broad frame, and he's seen in surveillance footage getting into what they believe is a Taurus, like a silver Ford Taurus sedan. This car is anywhere in the year ranges of 2010 to 2018. And this surveillance footage also shows what seems to be a tattoo behind his ear, which is quite lengthy. It's like this long. And he's wearing a Volcom sweatshirt. This case is still ongoing at this time, and the community of Edna, they actually gathered for a candlelight vigil last night in her honor, and they were asked to wear white for Lizbeth to honor her. Her family were overwhelmed with how many people showed up. Her family also just wants answers. They want to know who took her from them. A person that was so willing to do anything for anyone. She was full of energy. She was very happy, and she was taken out of this world too quick, which this is going to sound very wrong of me to say, but it's very true. A lot of the people that are ones that really affect others in a positive way around them, they are taken out of this world too quick, which is fearing for a lot of people when you have to really like come to terms and realize that, hey, this person has impacted people so much. I hope nothing bad happens to them, but a lot of the times something bad does happen to them. So that, my friends, is today's true crime recap. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys later in another video. Bye, guys.